Hey everyone, it's Eddie from Impeller Pro. We're changing out Racors today. The new one's in the middle. So when we're changing them out, we'll go ahead and turn our fuel to off. Let's see if I can focus here. All off. Once we do that, we can drain out by loosening this valve here. That's going to drain the liquid out. If it starts to go slow, we can take this guy out. One of the things, especially with the small ones, if we do not drain the level down at least, that we're going to have an issue where the fluid is going to want to come out, thus making a mess. So on this side here, we're starting to slow down. Let's go ahead and introduce a little bit of air. Now we're starting to get a little more air into it. We can take the lid off. Our O-rings will replace, but with the amount of sediment that's in these, I'll let the bowls drain all the way down. So I'll take this one off. Some of the older ones, or the ones that don't have the two here, we'll just use a pick, and we'll pick this guy up, and we'll pull it up, and we'll turn it sideways, just like what these are. We'll go ahead and let them drain out, and then we can go ahead and put new ones on. So with our Racor is our first line of defense. When you buy a Racor, you're going to see this one is a 2010 TMOR. What that means is the series is a 2010, and that defines the size of this. They used to say, or excuse me, the old ones say TMOR, which is a 10 micron. The newer ones say 2020 V10, which is a 10 micron, 2020 V20 or V30 or V2. So normally I always put 10s in here with the idea that you can see these, you can see how dirty the ones are up front compared to a filter, this one, which you can't actually see unless we cut it open, and not everyone's going to cut these open. So our first line of defense is here, and this is what I was talking about in the earlier video of they got to a point where they give you a little grab handle so you don't have to take a pick and use a pick. So let's talk about our vacuum gauge. So with our vacuum gauge is that this will start to go up and down. You can see at 10 pounds of vacuum, that's where we start to get into the yellow to red. And when you're doing your pre-checks in the morning before you leave or whatever, if this is sitting close to your 10 at idle, so say you bring it down to 0, and as you go to start your engine up and say it's at 5 or 3, once you start to get motoring and you start to draw more fuel through here, you're probably going to get somewhere in this area. So super important to do your pre-inspections. The other thing too, this valve is all off, where you can run one or the other, or if you turn the valve over so that the finger's pointing down, or the pointer's pointing down, is that you'll be able to run both of them. You can run one, and then if that one decides to get dirty, thus you're seeing the vacuum start to rise, you can switch over in a safe manner to be able to run the other one. And then once you get back to the dock, you can change out the one that's dirty. These 2020 filter housings says a max working pressure of 15 psig. That's your gauge here, going to 15. So with that, that's what these are designed to do. A lot of people will run them differently, whether they run one or both. There's not a specific set way to do it, but this is your first line of defense on keeping all of your fuel clean. Okay, so something to talk about. Once these are all dry, we take those out and we start to put new ones in. Depending on where our fuel level is or what tank we're pulling out of, when we go to put the new ones in and put our fuel back to it, we want to make sure that that filter is totally covered up, and I'll show that here in just a little bit. But we want to make sure that we're utilizing this whole filter, and you can see here that the fuel level was above or at this point. Otherwise you would see basically a line here where you would have the filter being used and then basically a pocket of air that's very hard to remove it. And then also that pocket of air can also travel downstream, thus causing other issues. So when we fill these back up, the older style that don't actually push the filter down, we want to make sure that that level is all the way up. The ones that do push the filter down, we want to make sure when the filter is pushed down that we have 100% of that Racor filled up. Okay, so we'll let these drain out for a little while. Still have one of the valves open. I'll go ahead and close that valve. And then we will go ahead and change some filters and fill them back up. All right, so we have the old filters out. Before we get going, one thing I want to reiterate is when you take the lids off here, sometimes there is an O-ring that gets stuck to here, which then when we put our new O-rings, our O-ring here and our O-ring on here, that you could potentially double that up, causing air to get in the system and have an engine that either won't take prime or is introducing air constantly. So I want to make sure that all of these do not have a gasket on them. And then we can go ahead, and I like to, so we're starting to get into the fuel. As we're going down, we're twisting it. What will happen is it'll get to a point where it gets stuck, and then you push down and it blows fuel everywhere. So what I was talking about earlier is this, when you put the lid down, it's going to push that down into the fuel, causing this Racor to be 100% submerged in fluid. So when we're filling it up, we don't want to overfill it, otherwise when we put our cap on, we're going to get fuel everywhere. Which I'm sure if any of you guys have ever done a Racor, that'll happen. So our fuel level is higher than our Racors. So we'll go ahead and turn our valve to this side, and hopefully start introducing fuel. We'll go ahead and stop a couple times. Our fuel is going to go back down, soaking up into the pleats. Go ahead and go a little bit more. Stop there. So as we're pushing this down, I'll do it carefully, try not to spill the fuel. You can see here, this filter is almost totally submerged, so it absorbed a little bit more. Go ahead and put a little bit more into it, and stop it again. Push it down. So this is what we want. So as it's going, we're moving a little bit of fuel into the other Racor, but once I put both of them in, just turning it as we're going down. So we'll go ahead and put some fuel on this side. watching it come up. We'll go ahead and stop it. Watch the fuel go back down. Go ahead and come up a bit more, stop it again. You can see go ahead and put a bit more in it. Push it down. You can see that our Racor is totally submerged. So I'll have to put just a little bit more into it to make sure that it's totally submerged. Where all of our pleats, our fuel levels above where our pleats are. So our filter is still absorbing a little bit more of this fuel. That is about right where you want it. Still absorbing a little bit more. Okay, so you can see that both of them now are pretty close. So when you go to push it down, we will have both of them totally submerged using 100% of these 2020 Racors. Okay, so we'll start with our lid. We'll watch. They're going down. Hopefully I don't make a mess here. I think I'm going to go ahead and wind our lid down, pushing our filter down, watch our fuel level come up past our Racor now. Without making a mess. I drain just a tiny bit out of it, just because I hate when I spill fuel all over the place. One side down. We'll go ahead and do the same thing over here. I might have to drain a little bit of fuel out of it. So that's the big thing, is when you go to push it down, our fuel level is right on the edge, so we'll take just a little bit of fuel out of it and we should be good to go.